Back on the SportsMax zone, the West Indies have named an unchanged squad ahead of the second test against Bangladesh. This, of course, starts on Friday at the Darren Sammy Stadium in St. Lucia. The West Indies comfortably won the first test in Antigua by 7 wickets. Fast bowler Kemar Roach, who is 1 away from 250 test wickets, spoke to the media ahead of the second test.
It's good for us, man. The guys are young. You have Jaden, you have Alzari, he's 24, 25. Then you have Kyle Mears, who's showing great skill for ball. And there's other guys on the outside that are trying to get in as well. So it's good. It's good that we have a group of fast bowlers coming through that can get the job done. And it's just about learning every day. Every day you go to practice, obviously try to improve your skills, obviously try to improve your body and your technique and whatever. And yeah, improve, man. That's all I can ask for these guys. So it's good that we have a pretty big quartet of fast bowlers now. So let's keep working on it.
Fazeer Mohammed now joins us to look at this test match. And, segueing from the discussion we had in the previous segment, Faz, about the romanticizing of players and so on, it just hit me that Kemar Roach now has 249 wickets, the same as Mikey Holding. And if the purists and cricket experts sit down and talk about West Indies cricket, very few would compare Kemar Roach with Michael Holding, would they?
Absolutely, and I think that's where you need to contextualize. Kemar Roach would have taken his wickets in more test matches than a Michael Holding. Michael Holding would have been part of a great quartet, so there was tremendous competition. You balance it against the quality of the opponents that they would have come up against. And yes, Kemar will suffer by those comparisons, but I still think it doesn't take anything away from when you look at the span of his career from 2009 until the present time, with injuries and everything else. Even if you talk about the comparative lack of quality in test match cricket, I don't think he's up to the level of a Michael Holding, and again there I could be accused of romanticization, but 249 is 249, and he's well on his way to getting closer to a Joel Garner.
Yeah. George is having a big laugh here, Faz. I'm not sure why. But do you have a comment, George?
No. Carry on. Carry on. When you're finished with the witness, I'll take my
Can we talk about them?
I'm actually sorry that the discussion has been interrupted with the football comparisons of the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s to talk about West Indies cricket of 2022. But we have to do what we have to do.
All right, Faz. Let's cut to the chase because we do have a test match starting in St. Lucia on Friday. The West Indies buoyed, of course, by their fairly easy 7-wicket victory in the first test in Antigua. Is there anything in the rosters or the playing conditions in St. Lucia that might have you looking at the West Indies being unable to repeat what they did in Antigua?
Well, I see no reason why they should not. And in fact, I believe if the surface is anything like what the West Indies had to encounter against South Africa last year, you recall that the West Indies were throttled by the South African fast bowlers in 2 days and a bit, and then 3 days and a bit at the Darren Sammy Stadium. If Kent Crafton prepares the surface that is anything like that, I can't see the West Indies being satisfied with anything other than an emphatic victory inside 3 days, because Bangladesh just aren't equipped technically, temperamentally, to deal with quality, fast bowling, short pitch bowling on the line of the body on a helpful surface. That's just the reality of it. People talk about that victory in Mount Maunganui against New Zealand, the world champions, and so on. But I think everything else subsequent to that has shown that was a fluke, because Bangladesh just simply aren't equipped to cope with those sorts of conditions. And in Kemar Roach, in Alzari Joseph, and Jaden Seals, you've got quality fast bowlers, and you've got Kyle Mears, who I think is proving his worth as a frontline bowler in his own right. So unless the West Indies get really overconfident and allow the Bangladesh seamers, and they're decent, let's not take anything away from them. Khalid Ahmed had the West Indies 9 for 3. Chasing that small target of 84. So you can't take that for granted. They've brought in Shariful Islam into their squad as well. So they could cause the West Indies top order some problems. But I would suggest that if the West Indies struggle to beat Bangladesh in this test match coming up, then they really need to have a hard look at themselves.
So here's the question now, Faz, because I've been thinking to myself, if it is that I can make a case for the West Indies being better than the rest. So if we isolate India, Australia, obviously the top two, we can't put England because the West Indies, for some reason, here, especially in the Caribbean, England come, as you say, with this inflated sense of self and get knocked down several pegs. So India, Australia, I'm going to say South Africa, New Zealand. 4. Are the West Indies now, you believe, showing the kind of form and have the kind of playing personnel that would tempt you even a little, Faz, to say home and away they are better than the rest on the test table?
Absolutely not. Because I don't think the West Indies have proven themselves away from home at all. The last time the West Indies were away from home in Sri Lanka, even with all the rain in goal for the first test match, the West Indies still lost. In the second test match in better weather conditions, they lost heavily again. And everything is going to be proved at the end of the year when the West Indies go to Australia. So it's all well and good to talk about the West Indies drawing 1-1 with Pakistan last year. Let's recall that Pakistan should have won that first test match. Catches dropped towards the end. The West Indies scrambled home by 1 wicket. Credit to the West Indies for being competitive. Credit to the players, Kemar Roach, James Seals in that last wicket partnership for being competitive. But just that discussion that you're having, George, about the best of the rest, it's almost like Caribbean societies. This is what world cricket has become, where there's no middle class anymore. You have either the very, very rich or the very, very poor, and never the twain shall meet. And this is what international cricket has become. Maybe it's less so in the shorter formats of the game. But the governors of cricket have created an environment over the last 15, 20 years where the rich have become richer, the poor have become poorer, and the gap's increasingly wider. But to answer your specific question, I would say no, the West Indies are not the best of the rest.
Yeah. The praise that Craig Brathwaite has come in for from his head coach, Phil Simmons, effusive at times, bordering on something else at times. I leave you to imagine what the something else is. I can't ever recall Phil Simmons being as gushing in his praise when Jason Holder was leading the team. So is it that Mr. Simmons is managing Craig Brathwaite in such a way that by doing this publicly, he's trying to build his own confidence, trying to push him to another level of leadership, or is it something else?
I don't think Craig Brathwaite needs that to feel good about himself, whether you want to call it hyperbole, whether you want to call it PR, whether you want to call it just...
But hold on fast. I'm very happy with how you started the answer, because you said you don't think Craig Brathwaite is a kind of character who needs that. But notwithstanding what Craig needs, is it what Phil is doing?
Well, it's about selling something. Remember, the West Indies are in the business of salesmanship. Essentially, this is what it is now. You are selling a product that nobody's watching. And this is the disappointing element of it, in the same way that you were having the discussion earlier about football. Yes, there are many other alternatives for people to enjoy themselves. The diehards will harken back to the days of Viv and Mikey and so on. But can we say that our cricket as it's being played now is attractive enough, is of the quality, is of the caliber, that will tell the fans, say, look, I want to take my son or daughter to watch the West Indies play. So now we are in the process of salesmanship. You're selling something, you're pushing something, you're promoting something, you're talking things up, you're talking the performances up, you're elevating them beyond what they really are. And again, quite frankly, I'll be accused of, here you go again, the ultimate pessimist, glass always half empty rather than glass half full. The question I will ask to those who will hold that view, is the glass filling or is it emptying? When we talk about the West Indies' caliber and quality in test match cricket. So yes, you're selling something. And this is what international sport has become, and the coverage of international sport has become. You watch Premier League, you watch NFL, you watch NBA. It's almost as if you're a salesman for the product as well, even if the numbers, when you're faced with real adversity, tell you something very different. If no one in the West Indies batting lineup averages 40, which is a minimum for when you talk about a reasonable quality player, if nobody in the West Indies batting lineup with a decent number of matches averages 40, where is the argument?
Absolutely so. Yeah, I harken back to my days studying marketing at the University of Technology, Fazeer. And the word to describe what you say that they're trying to do is puffery. And you know you're Jamaican well enough to know that there's a hurry that rhymes with puffery that some Jamaicans will be describing it as. But we leave that one alone. Stay where you are, Faz. Stay where you are. We're going to take a break and come right back, right? All right. We don't break. We just go straight on because in women's cricket, yes, thank you, Mr. Producer, Jamaica will meet Barbados in the final of the CG Insurance Women's Super 50 tournament in Guyana after crushing the hosts by 8 wickets in the second semi-final earlier on Thursday. Guyana only lasted 11.2 overs, being dismissed for 23. Vanessa Watts, 5 for 5, and Chanel Henry, 5 for 18, did the damage for Jamaica, who lost 2 wickets on their way to 27. The final is set for Saturday at Providence. We take a break. We come right back. Thank you for watching SportsMax on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay informed.